So today we're going to demonstrate the built form of the American city using nothing but some construction paper, some Play-Doh, and some sour cream lids. So first, we get our Play-Doh. It's just regular Play-Doh, nothing special. This is the American city. Brown here represents city limits. Green represents everything outside of city limits, rural areas, trees, fuzzy squirrels, farms, that kind of thing. Now, this little lump here, no particular shape and size. I'm just gonna put right here in the middle. And this kind of represents just sort of natural demand. And under absence of any kind of height limit or restrictions or use case, you know, this is about the form that the city naturally wants to take, right? And so a lot of people are like, well, Lars, I don't want to, we need zoning, we need height limits, we need all these restrictions, because otherwise we're gonna use up all the land, right? We don't want to pave the earth. You know, I agree with you. I think urban should stay urban and rural should stay rural. But what's interesting is sometimes these height restrictions have the opposite effect that we intend. So the sour cream lid here represents zoning and height restrictions mainly, and parking requirements and all of that. What it tends to do is it tends to squish out all of that demand has to go somewhere. And when we start to restrict where people are allowed to build, they will wind up building wherever they can. And you can see that where they wind up building is wherever the rules will allow them. So we take off the zoning and see what effect it has had on our city. You can see that we basically can't see the brown anymore. We have spilled completely outside of it. And we are now starting to encroach on wilderness. So when we don't build in the city, we actually consume more wilderness. We cut down more trees, we pave over more fuzzy squirrels, start to bid up the price of farmland and ranch land and take it away from farmers and ranchers because we can't actually build in the city where we want to. Now, I hear what you're saying. You're like, look, if we get rid of those height restrictions, we're gonna get these ugly pencil towers, we're gonna get we're gonna get super talls, we're gonna get luxury condos, and I don't like those, right? Let's think about where those actually come from. Let's take our demand again. Let's look at something else. This is actually the shape of the typical American city, which is you're not allowed to build anywhere except right in the middle. This has a peculiar effect, and it's best demonstrated like this. So again, we have this natural kind of mid-rise lump, this kind of natural Barcelona-style density, right? That left to its own devices, an American city would take. The shape that they took in the early 1900s. Keep in mind, populations of a lot of American cities have actually declined in certain cases since the 1900s, at least within city limits. Let's take this kind of, you know, gentle density and apply zoning with high-rise density right in the middle. And what do you know? There's your super tolls poking up right in the middle. You get both effects. Gotta squish this in. You get the super tolls right in the middle, and you get the exact same sprawl we had before. This will probably slice off when I pull it off, but don't worry, I'll put it back on. Deep. Let's grab our super tall, put it right there. And this is the typical shape of the American city. Massive sprawl in every direction, consuming fuzzy squirrels and farmland and trees and paving over paradise. And then giant pencil towers, luxury condos right in the middle. The alternative, without all of those height restrictions and more reasonable zoning codes that allow people to kind of build what they want, where they want, you get something that looks a little bit more like this. You know, you don't consume nearly as much nature, and you don't pave over the fuzzy squirrels, and you don't compete with farmers and ranchers for their farmland and their ranch land. Nature stays nature, urban stays urban. I don't think it's a more reasonable way to build a city. Thank you very much.